So speaking about the text 10, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the unmanifested eternal combination of the three modes is the cause of the manifest state, and is called Pradhāna. It is called Prakṛti when in the manifested stage of existence. This is something like pregnancy and not pregnant. So when the living entity is pregnant, but nothing is not manifest, that may be said to be like the Pradhāna. And when the pregnancy comes out, then all the Prakṛti comes with it. You get all the different elements, and they're differentiated. So it is like a subtle stage. It's like in trying to understand the living entity and the different material elements, subtle elements like mind, intelligence, and ego. Sometimes it's difficult to ascertain where does the living entity begin and where does the mind begin and where does the false ego begin. So these are subtle aspects, and as one becomes more familiar with the different elements, it's like for a devotee, he can understand very easily that the soul is a differentiated particle, separate from the mind or the body, the gross body or the subtle body. It's not difficult for him to realize that because he's more familiar with the terms. When we refer to the term soul, or Atma, or Jivatma, it clearly refers to the living entity which has entered into some matter. And then there's a differentiation between the soul, the person himself, the driver. It's like the driver of an automobile and the automobile may have similar characteristics. They may both have plastic around them. They may both have cloth around them. They might both make some noises. But still there's a difference because the driver himself is the source of all those differentiations. And when the living entity is not present, then the divisions of the body, or the divisions of the characteristic of the automobile, are not they don't manifest. There's no driver. I mean, even though it may have an engine, it won't go anywhere because it needs a driver. Similarly, one may have a mind. That mind will not be manifest unless there's a spirit soul there. So when the living entity leaves a present body, let's say he has the body of a dog, so now it's time for him to leave. So by nature, fundamental nature of this determined that driver of the dog's body has to get out of that body now. So then the subtle body of the dog carry him to his next gross body. And it may be a dog or a fox or whatever the next body would be. And then he gets the subtle development of those aspects, the parts of the body, subtle parts and the gross parts. So that's a brief summary of the difference between the Pradhāna and the Mahatattva. Mahatattva is when the more of the differences are manifest. It's like they say there's no life in the embryo, but that's very difficult to maintain that argument, because if one looks into the body of the embryo when it's in the womb of the mother, the characteristics of certain parts of the body are already there. Notice the heart is there, there's brain waves, there's different feelings, different movements. How can one say that there's no life there? All the symptoms of life are present. So that's a more full manifest state. Now you could say that if the living entity is not pregnant, then there's no manifest aspects shown in the body. So that's a more subtle state. It's true the living entity has the ability to have offspring. And if it is arranged by the Lord and the material nature, then he can produce offspring. Thank you.
I have one question for whoever is able to answer it. Building off of this thought that Maharaj stated about the difficulty of discerning where the subtle material matter begins and the soul begins. It said that the soul is conscious, but the sensory elements are features of the subtle material. So what is consciousness like without material sensory experience?
Okay, Maharaj.
One way of looking at it is that the soul doesn't have the subtle aspects. It's called a ghost. He's existing, but it's a subtle body. He only has mind, intelligence, and ego. He doesn't have the gross features of the legs and the arms and the face. And this is one of the reasons why it's not recommended to commit suicide, because when one commits suicide, he's very likely to get the next body as a ghost, which means subtle body, without the gross body. The gross body means the arms, legs, and all those types of things. But he doesn't have those, but he has subtle bodies. He's full of desires. He thinks of himself as a false ego, as a person, and he wants to enjoy his senses with another sense object. But that's not possible because he's being punished, he's being restricted because of his misdeeds of misusing the body that was given to him. He committed suicide. It wasn't supposed to be done like that. So now he gets further punishment, like solitary confinement for the criminal who's in the prison, and he misbehaves again, and he gets more punishment.